Hello, everybody. Filippo Farnsworth here, and I've come to say you're welcome for the Idiot Box, and this is the Generic Lucky Shoe Podcast. Today we have May and Matt here, and Matt has a cool astronomy thing to talk about with a violet star, right?
No, something called
Nova.
A recurring nova.
Nice.
Star system called RS Opii is lighting up our world. So, what our nova is we have a double star system, binary star system, a red giant in this case, and a white dwarf. The white dwarf, what it is a failed star, or not a failed star, a sort of dead zombie star that's near the end of its life, and it's almost completely ran out of fuel. It's siphoning off hydrogen fuel from that red giant. And the issue, though, is when it takes up enough of it, it'll explode as a thermonuclear bomb when it has enough hydrogen. When that happens, it lights up around the surrounding area, and it's so bright that we can see it with the unaided eye, even though it's 5,000 light years away. Meaning it's so far away that the light takes 5,000 plus years to reach our eyes.
So is it dependent on like the orbit of the red dwarf then, and it like gets close enough that the star can pull the gas off of it or something? Or
yeah.
Okay.
It gets close enough, and it siphons off, kind of like an umbilical cord.
So is the orbit then like a 15-year cycle or something? What was
roughly?
Wow.
Roughly, it's I should explain. It's what I said earlier, a recurring nova. So that means that it's repeating every so often. In our case with this nova, we've known that it's blown up since roughly every 15 years since 1898.
I thought those things only blow up once.
Oh, that's for some novas. They only do it once, but some novas do it repeatedly. They blow up, and they keep then building up more and more and more material, and then blow up again.
Would that be the case with our star? It would just only blow up once?
No, our star actually would eventually turn into a supergiant. Or I mean, a red supergiant. Eventually, at the end of the life, the sun is going to expand, turn redder and redder as it burns helium, and it'll eventually shed off all of those additional layers and become a white dwarf.
When I was younger, I was always like disappointed that our star wasn't like the biggest kind of star. Mm-hmm. Now that I'm older, I'm like, oh, thank God.
Yeah,
it would explode. Not be in a good place if it was a bigger star.
Yeah. We probably also wouldn't exist too. Bigger stars don't last as long. They have a life on the order of only hundreds of millions of years, versus ours is on the order of tens of billions of years. Problem with that, it's probably not enough time for intelligent life to form. Just a few 100 million years. That's also probably why there's very little of any intelligent life to be found on supergiant stars, I would imagine. At least that's the leading theory among most astronomers.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
Yeah.
So the orbit of this like red dwarf and the nova is very elliptical then, and it like passes really close to it.
I don't know. I don't know what the exact orbital parameters are, but it's very circular.
Well, then what kind of expert are you, huh?
Yeah. I don't know the specific orbital details.
That's fair. That's pretty cool, though.
Yeah.
Anything else going on in space recently?
The Hubble Space Telescope was recently fixed. It broke a few months ago. I think the issue was one of the primary computers on it failed, and we were trying to convert it over to the backup system. For some reason, we weren't able to. I don't know exactly why, but eventually they figured out what was wrong and they converted to the backup. and it's able to take some pictures now.
How many years extra in service is it than its original planned time?
It's a good question. I don't know the original date it was supposed to go out of service. I know it's been extended multiple times. The latest extension was up to June 2021, which, by the way, that's about when the problem started creeping out.
And it's our best ultraviolet spectrum telescope. Is that correct? Or
ultraviolet, visible, and not infrared. We have better. I believe we have better telescopes in the infrared.
But it's still pretty good.
Yeah, it's still good. Its successor will be the GWST, James Webb Space Telescope.
Is it?
That's.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. You go first.
I was just going to ask, is the meteor shower that happens every year, is that this weekend or next weekend?
That's this weekend. Perseid.
Yeah, the Perseid.
Yeah, it's this weekend.
Nice. Maybe I'll try and get out tomorrow and look at it. I normally go to an orchestra camp every year, like this weekend, and it's way up near International Falls, which is the border of Canada, literally. And so there's very little glow or anything, and the meteor shower is very, very clear up there. It's very pretty.
I have to go up there soon at some point. Yeah, even at where I live, there's a lot of light pollution.
Yeah, and it's far enough north that you can even catch northern lights. Not very distinct ones, but somewhat. You'll see some shimmering and some green. I think one time I did see a little bit of yellowish green. So, not super intense, but you can see them.
No, I've only seen the clear, starry sky once, and that was in South Dakota.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah, I hardly ever get out of the city, so.
Is there high altitude in South Dakota?
Yep.
Were you in a high altitude spot?
Yeah, I was.
I bet that was really cool.
Yeah, it was also really hard to breathe.
I bet.
Yeah. My dad's been to what's that city called? Detroit. And sorry, people of Detroit, if you're watching this.
So there's these things called stars, and if you look up and you're not in Detroit, you can actually see them.
Yes. Yeah, and he was constantly thirsty, tired, just generally lethargic.
Yeah,
being there.
The air quality, I'm sure, is just horrible, and it's better than it was, my understanding.
Yeah. And the air is so much thinner too.
Isn't Detroit where the river was on fire? I mean, there's been a lot of rivers on fire, but there's a famous river that lit on fire due to enough pollutants being in it that it became flammable. I think it was Detroit. Maybe
I don't know.
I could be getting that mixed up, but yeah, Detroit's pretty famous for being smoggy.
What the hell is even in Detroit?
I don't know.
Why does it exist?
What is Detroit's purpose? Do they pass the butter?
Well, they have buildings and people and
poverty,
crime.
That sounds hot. I bet they have really good luck getting credit lines. Moving to our next topic, credit lines.
Nice segue.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty nifty.
Oh, yes.
Right before we were getting on today, we were talking a bit about credit because May has student loans.
And I don't understand credit, and I'm almost 25.
Nobody understands credit other than credit people, and then they can abuse it because nobody understands it. So that's my opinion.
I'm 24. I didn't understand credit until I got a car loan for my car.
Yeah, there's a reason that in the early 2000s, the credit card companies would go after college students really hard to get them to sign up for credit cards because college students almost never understand credit. And tactics are predatory now for credit, but in the early 2000s, they were extremely predatory, and they would make a lot of their money based off of people just going into debt and then paying exorbitant amounts of interest, which is still kind of a tactic, but yeah.
There's an anecdote, researching cars. One of one of the offers for recent grads, like graduated within 1 year from Toyota and Honda, was a recent grad one where you get $750 off as a rebate, but the deal is you have to finance through them though. And it's usually, for a fresh grad, probably like 3 to 5% plus.
Yikes.
Yeah. Versus I had one through a credit union where I was able to get a really good credit loan or interest rate for 1.9%.
Yeah, debt sucks. 1.9%'s not bad. That's pretty good. But debt is rough.
Let's say I want to get a really good credit score. What do I have to do other than apply for a credit card and just pay off whatever I spent that month?
I don't know, Matt. How do you get good credit?
Number one thing is, as far as I know, pay off your debt. Make sure don't borrow more than you can.
Utilities. If you're renting from somewhere, try and get all of the utilities in your name. That's something that I wish I had done more through college. Only 1 year did I pay for the utilities directly. Most years someone else was paying for the utility and then I would pay them back. That's a terrible deal. Try and get your name on the utilities because that actually improves your credit score. And especially if you have roommates, then you're not even paying for it, but it's increasing your credit score a lot more than you're paying for it. So yeah, utilities are one way. Depending on your landlord, paying rent can affect it. They need to do an extra step to actually report it. You can also... another thing about renting is that you should declare that you're renting on your taxes. That actually is pretty significant as well, it turns out, which I also didn't do enough of that during college. I only did that my last year. So, yep, you'll get a tax benefit for renting.
Yeah, it's a very good idea to make sure you're paying off your utilities. If you're something interesting, this is an anecdote that a random thing I found out. I was thinking maybe if I pay more for a streaming service, for example, started paying a streaming service, will that affect my credit score history? Turns out, no, it doesn't. The reason is because you're paying it before you start using it. When you pay for a service before you start using it, like a streaming service, you pay up front. That doesn't actually affect your credit score because you have to, versus utility like electricity.
You're not loaning the service.
Yeah, like, you can't possibly know what the how much electricity you're going to be using at the end of the month. And every time when the power company provides electricity, they're basically hoping that you're going to be paying it at the end of the month.
A good rule of thumb is that anything that you give your social security number for will probably affect your credit. So any utility or service that you need to give them your social security, that will probably be reflected in your credit score.
Yeah, that's probably why they're asking for it too.
Yeah, because they want to make sure that it's good, which brings to like renting cars. If you have a bad credit score, life can be kind of challenging. I haven't had a good credit score until this past year. It's gotten somewhat better. It's still not great. And it makes life kind of a pain in the ass in a lot of ways.
What are the scores for the credit scores? It's the numbers.
It's, from my understanding, it's basically a confidence rating. And so companies look at it to see what confidence they can have that you'll pay back some sort of loan or pay them back for some sort of service that they render. So how reliable are you?
Yeah, okay. Exactly. Measure of how confident are we in that you're going to pay back your debts.
And that's what it's supposed to be. But I think it's like some things are, maybe there's a reason for it, but I think one ridiculous thing about credit score that I think is ridiculous, fuck off, is that applying for credit cards hurts your credit score. And not just like a little bit, like it can drop it multiple points just from applying for a credit card.
Yeah, because of that hard inquiry into your credit score.
Oh, is that why? But
Yeah.
I'm not inquiring, and I don't get to see my credit score.
No, it's them that's inquiring.
So them inquiring hurts my credit score.
Yep.
That's bullshit.
Mhm. Yeah.
That makes no sense. And it like, so you need to know like roughly where you are, and you need to be able to look up like what kind of credit cards you're going to be qualified for. And there's apps to do that for you now. But like, you need to, before it was guesswork, now it's not. But still, if you apply for a credit card that's like above your bracket and they reject you, you still get your credit score hurt. So applying for credit scores can actually hurt you quite a bit.
Just attempting to do it.
Yeah, just
Mhm.
attempting to get a credit card will hurt you.
Like, oh, you're that kind of peasant. Well, we're not going to let you do this.
Yes.
And then the only credit cards that you're going to be qualified for, if you have a shitty one, are ones that have annual fees,
Super
really
high
high
interest, yeah.
APRs and stuff. And then they almost want you to not pay them on time, because then they can charge you exorbitant interest. Or also credit cards that have a high transaction fee, which doesn't hurt you, but it hurts the businesses you're going to. Like, there's a credit card offer that I saw that had like a $20 $20 or 15%, whichever one was higher, transaction fee. And that transaction fee is when you use the credit card, they add that onto the merchant. So whoever you're purchasing from, they need to pay that fee. So that means that at bare minimum, if I shop somewhere and use that card, the merchant would need to pay an extra $20, which means that if I spent less than $20, the merchant lost money on the transaction. It's wild. And basically, credit is just, especially credit cards, are people making money off of you trying to redistribute your money. They make money purely based off of your transactions and how you manage your money.
Yeah, how much money you're basically borrowing from them.
Yeah. But the way that I use my credit card is that I never spend more than I have in the bank. So I might as well be using a debit card. I use it like it's a debit card because that's honestly the responsible way of using a credit card. You don't want to overspend. So basically what the credit card's getting paid for is giving me a means of transferring my money to other people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it.
The other thing too is that if somebody ever gets a hold of your credit card or debit card, for example, with your credit card, because the money is not technically yours, it's the banks or credit unions or wherever you're getting that credit card from.
Mm-hmm.
When you say, "Oh, my credit card's stolen," or somebody is racking up $20,000, they're buying like $20,000 90-inch TVs or whatever, the bank is going to be much more aggressive on if that stuff is coming from a credit card versus a debit card. Because a debit card is, like you said, is linked directly to whatever's in your bank account.
Mm-hmm.
Your credit card is the bank's money.
Yep.
So that's
that is kind of nice,
advantage.
because then there's more security, honestly, because they actually give a shit.
Yeah, with your debit card, it's your money. They can just they're not supposed to, I think, but they're gonna be a little more lethargic. Or like, oh, okay, well we'll get to we'll kind of get to it. For those who get that South Park reference.
I really despise our credit. Actually, it's unchristian as well. Our entire credit system is very unchristian, because there's like a quote from the Bible that's Jesus saying like the money lenders and something are like the scourge of a society, or something like that. Yeah, money lenders and exchangers are the scourge of a society, something like that. So Jesus doesn't even like you credit unions, all right? Jesus don't got your back.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think that's also why the Jewish people tend to be associated with banking and money, because it's a clever workaround. It's not a sin if you're getting a loan and interest if the person giving it to you is a Jew. I mean, they're going to hell anyways, right?
Oh, God damn.
They're going to hell anyways, right?
You gotta love Christianity, man. It's so good.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
I'm not evil for being an enabler. I'm just,
You're just
Based-
reporting the facts.
Real
Exactly.
gamer moves coming out of Christianity.
What about just not getting a credit card at all?
Well, then you're going to have trouble later in life getting loans for a house, getting loans for a car, renting cars. If you ever need to travel for work, renting cars, they require you to have a good credit score. Basically doing anything that an adult needs to do.
Okay,
You're going to have trouble doing that later in life.
In order to increase your credit score, you need to get a credit card. And when you do that, it decreases your credit score, but if you're really good with it, your score will go up.
Yeah, but honestly, it's important. A lot of people don't know how to manage their credit card as well. And that's where we get into like kind of low-income people or people with lower education levels or just like not as well informed about how the credit system works, just get totally fucked over by it because it's not always intuitive how it works.
Like that hard inquiry thing. At first it just observing your credit score hurts it through that. Although we should probably also clarify though, if you do it with with so-called soft inquiry, so you go to one of the there's 3 major agencies that talk about your credit score. I forget what they're called, but regardless, I think you can ask for your or you can inquire for your credit score history. That itself will not affect your credit score.
Mm-hmm.
What about just looking through an app of your credit score?
They normally go through one of those 3, so that also doesn't hurt your credit score. Generally, some of them do. You need to be careful, I guess. But Credit Karma and Mint is Intuit's money managing app. Those don't affect your credit score for sure.
I think I do see my credit score on Mint from time to time.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's something you need to do, but you also need to know how to do it and be careful.
And just know it's bullshit, but do it anyways because you'll be happier down the line.
Hey man, it's a business person's world. They built the system, and it's no wonder that business people are the ones that benefit the most from the system we're in. They got to make the system, so they're definitely going to put themselves at the top of it.
Yep.
The elites own everything.
Yeah, they're gonna give themselves a favorable position.
Yeah, they're just going to put themselves in a position where they can profit the most off of doing the least amount of effort. Literally, my job is just to give you money and then have you give me money. That's it.
By the way, before we continue, none of us here are experts.
Oh yeah,
we forgot to mention that.
Super not. I might cut in like a little excerpt before we start this topic, saying, "Yeah, we don't know." What we're talking about.
We are not giving you financial advice. Don't sue us.
This is just about our personal life experience with debt and credit and all that stuff.
I hear that every time from like social commenters. Like whenever they're talking about stuff that we're talking about, they always have to say, I am not giving you social advice, okay? Don't get me in trouble. Don't put me in jail over this.
Yeah, and then somehow everybody always forgets that they said that and then treats them like they're an authority on the subject. But
for some reason,
man, I'm not an authority, but then they still get revered and like referenced as an authority.
Yeah.
But hey, legally, they're not an authority.
Legally, they're good. They're set.
Because they said so.
I mean, if people aren't going to listen to you, I guess what's the point in talking online? In fairness.
Yeah. Reminds me of a lawsuit against, I think, either Hannity or Tucker Carlson from Fox News, I forget, but they were sued over what they said about the coronavirus early on, of it being a giant hoax, all the data's fake, blah blah blah, or something like that. And they're in the court, their legal argument was that what they said was so wacky and out of bounds that no reasonable person could possibly believe them.
I think Alex Jones used a similar argument, actually, because Alex Jones basically said that he didn't believe anything he said and that he's mostly a comedy channel and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then like after his courtroom, he went back onto the show and was like, "No, I mean every word I say. I mean every word. Hillary Clinton's a lizard demon from the sewers." I was like,
Yep.
Oh my god.
It's just low key calling your audience dumb.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
Just don't listen to me. I'm a fucking moron.
Bill Burr?
Oh, that was Joe Rogan.
Oh, Joe Rogan.
Yeah,
That's
he
right.
says that all the time. Whenever he gets in hot water, it's always, don't listen to me. Don't get your political takes from me. I'm a fucking moron. What do I know? But then he continues to have strong opinions and not think about the things he's saying.
Mm.
And you have millions of people just taking his word.
And he keeps talking about trans women in sports.
Yeah.
It's like, dude.
Like, oh my God. It's so boring at this point.
Yeah, he's talked about that a lot. Like the first couple of times is like, okay, he's bringing it up, whatever. No, he now talks about it consistently.
Like whenever he starts talking about it, I just pull up my phone and I just like skip ahead a few minutes. I'm like, is he still talking about this? Because like I'm going to gain nothing from this.
It's that and like DMT, and then the rest of it is like somewhat like new content.
Or
but
he's
those two.
Well, he's also going to talk about elk meat or a fad diet or
true.
the value of having free speech.
Something that he's some kind of product that he's definitely not getting paid to talk about.
Yeah.
Definitely will talk about that. Because there's no way that he's getting paid by the person that he's interviewing about their new miracle diet to, throw them softball questions or anything. No way.
Or drug or whatever.
Yep.
I used to listen to Joe Rogan all the time, especially last year during quarantine.
I mean, some of his stuff is pretty entertaining. I don't hate Joe Rogan. But I don't really listen to him as much anymore. I feel like he's gotten worse. I suppose that will happen if you publish every single day other than Sunday.
Or like every other day. Well,
I
I think he does like 3 to 4 episodes a week.
Oh my god. Yeah, that's too much.
Is that his full-time job? Is that what he does?
I think
basically?
so.
I think at this point it is. He's probably mostly retired. Because he's oldish, right? He's like in his 50s or 60s now.
Yeah, he's like he's approaching his mid-50s, but he has the health of a 30-year-old.
Yeah, and I looked at him at first. I thought he was like 30-something. No, he's like, yeah, you're at 50-something.
Yeah. I suppose he's like soft retiring, I feel like. Like he's doing this, and that's kind of his main thing. Although he makes plenty from it, so it's not like he needs to do more. So he's the biggest podcast on the planet.
Remember that one take where he said that eventually, if this social justice thing kept going on, eventually straight, white, heterosexual men like us can no longer speak or go outside? Didn't he say that? Like
Maybe
a few months ago?
Really? That recently too?
Yeah.
That's weird. I feel like the entire SJW debate has just not... It ended like in 2018, finally. It ranged... The Great Social Justice War was like 2015 to 2018, and now the internet's kind of like moved past it. Maybe that's just when I like got really into college and stopped being on the internet for a couple of years, though.
No, I think it's still going on quite a bit.
Somewhat. I don't like...
Not as much, though.
Pretty much all I see on YouTube nowadays are just memes. But maybe that's just what I'm searching for. YouTube really does show you exactly what you have been looking at recently.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, at work, when working, sometimes we'll put on some Reddit compilation. They'll just talk about whatever stuff some Reddit from some Reddit post.
Yeah.
Like, one of my favorites is r/Tales from Tech Support. Let's talk about
Nice.
people.
I bet that's really good.
Sometimes it ranges from mundane to how do you function in life? Like, I don't know. Like, I think somebody was like, somebody forgot to press the power button to turn on the computer.
On Spotify's also like really aggressive about recommending shit, because I listen to Bad Romance by Lady Gaga, and that is not my general style of music. I'm more
surprised.
of a hard rock metal guy.
Yep.
But I was like, I just want to... Bad Romance slaps, so I'm going to put it on. And then after that, for the next week, all of my daily mixes had a ton of pop music, a ton of Lady Gaga, and a ton of covers of Bad Romance. Like, Spotify, I listened to it once. Calm down. I don't need this for an entire week. Just pop music. Holy crap.
Yep.
It was wild. So aggressive.
There was a case where someone was pregnant, but here's the weird thing. That so the father got some kind of ad in the paper saying here's some stuff for diapers and stuff like that, and it was sent to his daughter. He was pissed off, and he went to Target and saying, fuck you, blah blah blah, don't send my 16-year-old daughter a bunch of advertisements on diapers.
Was she pregnant?
Yeah, she was actually pregnant. Google, she started looking up diapers and stuff, or other stuff and other things that Google decided was, well, once you start to, all of a sudden you're starting to look up this stuff that might mean you're pregnant, so let's send out some baby diapers to you, because you're probably going to be interested in baby diapers pretty quickly. And the father went back to Target and said, yeah, I'm sorry, I have an apology to make. My daughter is actually pregnant. Thank you for sending these over. Yeah.
Now I have to go off and kill the father.
How angry would you be if you were a parent and goddamn Google figured out that your daughter was pregnant before you did?
Yes.
Oh, that's just gotta make you feel like a shit parent.
Yeah.
Wow, I do not pay enough attention to my children.
That fucking Google knew it better than I did.
Yeah, that's wild. That is absolutely crazy.
That's how powerful the tracking of Google is. It's so powerful. It knows if somebody's pregnant. I think even the daughter didn't know that she was pregnant. Well, actually, I don't remember, but yeah, the father
That'd
did.
be pretty wild.
Yeah,
but
reading our mind, basically.
Yeah,
just stringing all the right words together.
Turns out it's just scanning her physiology.
Oh, no, just scanning all the words she's typing in.
Yeah.
At this point,
you started using much more intense language. You must be in an emotional state. That could possibly mean that you're pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god!
You're craving a lot of these different kinds of foods. Yeah. Maybe you're pregnant. Here, we'll send you an ad for diapers.
You're dipping onion rings in fish sauce. You're probably pregnant.
At this point, I wouldn't be too surprised if, for example, right now, Google's looking at us right here, right now, just analyzing us, looking through our webcams. Some guy on the other end just getting the lube.
Oh my god!
Google Earth. How it's just, it takes a satellite image of every single street in this world. What if they're starting to do that with our interiors?
TikTok.
Oh god!
Holy shit!
What do you think TikTok is? I'm gonna sound like a hyper boomer conspiracy theorist and anti-China person, but honestly, what do you think TikTok is?
That was a controversy last year, right? That it was...
I don't understand why it's a controversy. It's literally owned by a card-carrying member of the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, and it's just spyware that has a video that people are recording their entire lives with and showing every aspect of their daily existence. And it was also TikTok ended up leaking the location. No. It wasn't TikTok. I think it was Fitbit ended up leaking the location of a secret base, military base, because it tracks your location, and people were walking around. People were walking around the military base, and so there's just this random undocumented patch of desert where people hacked into Google, I think, and found that people were walking around in the middle of the desert, and they're like, "Oh, that's interesting." Yeah.
Oh shit.
So now you can't wear Fitbits or anything like that on military bases.
Big Brother was right.
It's insane. And I have no doubt that TikTok is spyware. And at this point, our computing has gotten to the point where you can sort through a massive amount of data like that and find things that are interesting.
Yeah.
So
I think some of the conspiracy theories about the COVID-19 vaccine, of it being like, it's sending in some kind of chip inside you to track you. For those anyone out there that believes that, I gotta say, you should probably look at your social media account. We don't really need the government really doesn't need to put a chip in anyone. We basically created for them when we
you volunteer
post anything.
You volunteer yourself to be carrying around a chip consistently,
and
it's this brick that I'm holding called a cell phone.
Are we talking about vaccines?
Yeah, we were talking about vaccines a little bit,
and the
microchips
inside. And I'm saying that it makes no sense because the government already tracks us with fucking our Twitter accounts, Facebook accounts, social media in general.
Do those people already have a counter argument to that, or do they just ignore it?
I don't know.
I wonder.
Oh, it's probably like, this is an irremovable chip. You can't just throw away this chip like you can throw away your cell phone. That's probably the argument. But
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's true, but it's kind of like you're not going to know that they're spying on you. Well, everybody knows that they're spying on you, but you're not going to know that they're spying on you specifically, There's no reason to throw your cell phone away. So.
Oh, and no, vaccines are not fucking magnetic. If you're sticking stuff onto your face, it's because either you have tape on there or your skin is sticky.
Is that a trend?
Yes, that they think the vaccine is magnetic, so they take like a spoon or something, they'll put it on their forehead or arm or wherever, and it'll stick there. They'll claim it's therefore magnetic.
So a bunch of people are just faking shit.
Yeah,
for the lulz.
What? If you had a magnet that strong in your body, like the vaccine's not that big. The magnet, and why would it? Like I don't understand how that would even work if it was true.
It wouldn't.
It literally makes no sense. I'm trying to figure out where they're even coming from for that. That's just got to just be a meme.
Wouldn't you die if there was a liquid magnet in your body like that?
Oh yeah, all your iron would go up, and if there was,
you'd probably have a heart attack.
Well,
your blood would like coagulate in your body.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you had a magnet that was strong enough to put fucking spoon onto your forehead, it would be powerful enough to get whatever iron is in your bloodstream to clump up, and whenever it pumps through the art, you'd have a heart attack and die.
Yeah. That just reminded me of the why people wear Faraday cages while working on larger power lines, because the AC current going through the power line is strong enough that it will actually move the blood in your body. So that's why they isolate themselves with Faraday cages.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I knew it was powerful. I thought the reason they did it was so they don't get electrocuted. I didn't know it was powerful enough to actually move the
Faraday cage is supposed to block you from the magnet. The magnetic
fields.
Yeah, from the fields.
Oh, I didn't know it was powerful enough to actually move the blood.
Yeah, it's wild. Like people, not like not super significantly, but people that went up before they came up with this device would like suffer headaches and stuff afterward, and other like numb limbs sometimes, stuff like that. So yeah, it would disrupt the blood flow. Pretty wild.
Very powerful. That's powerful.
That is powerful.
Little scary.
Yeah. Electricity's cool.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that it's funny that EEs are some of the most technophobic people. Either they're technophilic or technophobic. I'm definitely more of a technophobic EE. Like after learning more stuff in college about technology, I'm like, it was a mistake. Not quite that far, but I'm not getting a self-driving car. I'll just say that. Like that's the level of paranoid I am about technology. I don't quite trust it. I know what it can do.
But you're not going to become an Amish or anything.
No, not that far. I've already accepted that all my data has been sold at this point.
Oh yeah, probably everybody here, all of you. I think I'm more philic, more attracted to technology, like self-driving cars.
Mm-hmm. I just have read and seen too much cyberpunk where they all start with somebody's self-driving car getting hacked and driving them to a bad location that they didn't want to go to. It's like, oh no.
Or someone having their cyber brain hacked.
Yep, cyber brain's getting hacked.
Or having your memories being deleted and replaced with something else and never recovering from it.
Exactly. Just literally getting your personality swapped out through a cloud.
Mm-hmm. Or becoming a puppet for someone else.
Ghost in the Shell was such a good show.
Yeah.
I feel like they'll probably be more remembered as a kind of a reactionary fears. I think a good example is the show called Veritasium has talked about this, where back in the early 20th century when automated elevators were being produced, there's a lot of fear of the elevator crapping out or failing or something, or just going above the walls, whatever. So they put in an emergency stop to put people at ease, just in case something went wrong.
I would say there's a distinction, and that's that there isn't a group of highly motivated and incredibly intelligent individuals trying to circumnavigate the security of an elevator.
That's true.
There's some very motivated individuals and highly intelligent individuals that would be super interested in, say, hacking a president's cyber brain. If a president had a cyber brain. And you can bet that the government would have some like nutty firewalls. I'm just saying, it is opening the possibility that your president's brain could get hacked theoretically.
Yeah, that's true.
Hacked by the Taliban.
And the difference is, an elevator is just one-dimensional motion, very simple, very easy to automate, versus self-driving cars or person is way more complicated than one dimension.
Yeah, I'd say apples meet oranges to Veritasium. I'm not sure they're quite equivalent or even remotely equivalent systems. But
still,
I don't know. I'm paranoid.
Still, I think eventually, probably with self-automated cars, I'm optimistic that they'll, over time, have more as they're rolled out more and more, and people get more comfortable with it, that we'll see it much more often in the next 10 to 20 years from now.
The rise of cyber terrorism, man. It could be a crazy world, or maybe we'll just outpace all hackers and the big companies will just have almost impossible cybersecurity to pass. But I mean, like, if a crazy motherfucker that was motivated enough and smart enough managed to hack some self-driving cars on the freeway and wanted to, get his manifesto a lot of attention, he could just create a massive pile-up on a freeway with self-driving cars.
Yep.
I mean, theoretically.
Yep.
I'm not saying it's gonna happen. I'm just saying that's where my brain goes to, and that's why I'm, like, paranoid.
Been playing Watch Dogs.
I hope the engineers working on that are that paranoid too, so they can figure out ways to mitigate that or prevent it from happening.
I feel like my technophobia makes me a better EE. Like always trying to figure out all the ways that everything gets broken.
Yep. I think that's something the Internet of Things, IoT kind of community could work on more, get the stuff to be more security orientated. Instead of thinking about how do I get this thing to work? Think of how could a bad actor use this to break it? How could I hack into it? How could I break this get this to act in a malicious way?
My mom did some testing for a software company at one point. And the software that she was testing for them asked, please enter a number in this field. And she entered like ABCD and hit enter, and the app crashed. And they were like, well, we said enter a number. Why did you enter letters? She's like, well, I wanted to see what happened if someone accidentally hit a letter and hit enter and your app crashed. That's a problem, So that's the difference in the mindset between a developer and a tester. Testers want to break stuff. So definitely want testers on your team.
Yeah, you want a dedicated tester who will try to break it. Because, once you break it, it'll just, and you try to fix it, it'll just become stronger.
Yeah.
It doesn't kill you, it makes me stronger.
Yeah. Oh, we still got some time. That's good. Yeah. How you doing, May?
Pretty good. How about you?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Just chilling.
How's your phone doing? Is it listening?
Yeah, probably.
Are you is China gonna go busting through the window since I referenced them negatively? I mean, only positively. Sorry, Xi Jinping.
Yeah, very likely. I made some disparaging jokes in the past. The Winnie the Flu joke.
Did you make the Kung Flu joke?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Nice, solid. Did you say China cough or whatever? What was it?
China cough. Winnie the Flu.
Winnie the Flu. Oh right.
Well, I stole that joke.
I love the Soviet national anthem getting played over Winnie the Pooh's face, and then like the sickle and stuff in the background. That's great. That's a good meme.
Holy shit! That was like over a year ago.
Is that because what made that meme a thing?
It was like a combination of a lot of things. Well, when Trump said the Kung Flu, or allegedly said that, and then someone referenced the Winnie the Pooh and President Xi. That's how it happened.
Is it like Xi Jinping looks like Winnie the Pooh? Is that the...
Yeah.
Gotcha. I thought it was the like... Does Disney own Winnie the Pooh? Who owns Winnie the Pooh?
Disney, I think.
Disney. That'd make sense. Yeah, I thought it might be because like Mulan, the Mulan movie was so like the crew and cast and stuff like kowtowed so hard to the Chinese government, so it was like Disney owns, or China owns Disney at this point, is the idea behind Winnie the Flu or something, and that Winnie the Pooh is going to be the new Chinese mascot. I don't know. That's what I thought it was.
Amazing.
Way more convoluted.
What shows were you guys interested when you were like really young? If you either remember, which I guess you probably don't, or if your parents have told you later in life.
What shows we were into when we were children?
Yeah, like
quite the non sequitur.
2 to 6 years old.
I was really into Dora the Explorer and Dragon Ball Z at the same time.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's quite the contrast.
Yeah.
I liked Powerpuff Girls, apparently, according to my parents. Courage the Cowardly Dog. That one was good. That one scared the shit out of me with some episodes, and honestly probably still would. Some of those episodes were like really creepy. Dexter's Lab. Dexter, the serial killer, just a great show for kids.
Your parents let you watch that straight up?
No, not until I was like in high school. And even then I only like May came over and we watched it, and then I like watched it in secret until season 4 or something, and my parents finally found out I was watching it. And by that point they were like, well, I guess it's too late. So
yeah, we raised a serial killer.
Yep. For a while, the Dexter intro was my morning alarm clock.
When I watched when I watched that intro, I like to imagine that's how every episode starts. Just him waking up like that.
I like that he cuts himself shaving every day. And if that's true, that's how I imagine it too, is that's how every day starts for him. And that means he cuts himself with the razor every day.
Ow.
And also, he is very bad at shaving. Because supposedly he shaves, but then by the time he walks out the door at the end of the intro, he still has stubble.
Fail.
Unless he only shaves his neck. That's probably... Okay.
He doesn't want to be a neckbeard.
He doesn't want to program Linux. I see how it is.
I want to see a neckbeard Dexter.
That could be.
Well, maybe we'll get that in the new season.
Oh my god, the new season is going to be bad. I can feel it.
How come?
I don't know. I just assume everything's going to be bad at this point. It protects me from the harsh reality of the world.
Oh, true.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
when it is good, it's fucking awesome.
That's true. And then it's, it's beaten my expectations for it. And then it's even better.
Yeah, that's what I should have done with Cyberpunk. I should have just said, no, it's going to suck. Yeah. But then, I would play it and I would just be like, well, it still sucks, but it was a lot better than what I'd expected to be.
Game of Thrones just broke me a little. And now I assume everything will disappoint me to the same degree that Game of Thrones did.
That's horrible.
You can't be disappointed if you have no expectations, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
The new Halo game actually does kind of look like it could be good, though, which is kind of cool.
I'm sad that I was never chosen to play the beta.
Oh, you tried to?
I tried to.
Yeah. I feel like I'm too old to try and get into betas, but I kind of wish I'd tried. I played the Halo Reach beta. That's like the last game that I pre-ordered that I didn't regret pre-ordering. It was Halo Reach.
Because you get to have the recon armor day one.
And it was just like fun. And I got to play it day one. But it was a game that I was like, yeah, I'm glad I paid full price for this and was like hyped up for it. Like it just delivered so hard on everything. That was a good game.
Except for armor abilities. I hate those. They suck.
At least it's still like a somewhat even playing ground.
True. It's still a Halo game.
Yeah, it's not like dropping ordnance throughout the game.
Halo 4, that was a disaster.
Yeah, that was a pretty bad mechanic. For Halo, at least.
Bungie, why have you forsaken us?
Why did you leave us, Bungie?
Yes.
Why did you go and make Destiny, which is just a terrible universe that its lore is just bullshit? Destiny lore is actually just... I don't know anything about it other than they say darkness a lot.
I think I played Destiny a bit when it first came out. I think I got bored and just moved on to other stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with Destiny these days. What they're doing.
Isn't the whole gameplay just like you run up to something, you aim down your sights, and then you shoot, then repeat?
It's a very tight gameplay loop.
Then and then once you kill everything, you get a better weapon, and then you just repeat it again.
Yeah.
This is why I don't like looter shooters.
Yeah.
They're not fun to me.
The gameplay loop is very short. You do the same thing every time. I was pretty disappointed in the new MechWarrior, honestly, because I've liked the MechWarrior games for a long time, but the gameplay loop on MechWarrior, there's only like 4 or 5 types of missions, and only 3 of them are fun. So you end up just doing the same kind of mission, and then you buy a bigger mech, but do the same kinds of missions. You're just shooting bigger mechs now with your bigger mech. And it's like, okay, this is all the game has. And I pretty much experienced the entire breadth of the game in 2 hours of gameplay. Because the gameplay loop was so small, so tight. I was like, gosh, damn it.
Yeah, it also becomes a real pain in the ass when the campaign is like 60 hours long and it's an RPG.
Yeah, that's not good. My dog just came up to me. It's very distracting.
Hello.
He's very cute, though.
He just wants to be part of the podcast.
Exactly. He's joining in.
Hey, Ranger's the 4th person on the couch.
I pre-ordered
just as what we needed.
I have an unpopular opinion. I pre-ordered Skyrim, and I regretted it within the first 5 minutes of gameplay.
Oh, you didn't like the opening sequence?
I just don't like Skyrim in general. I think that it has no merits on its own, and people always whenever I criticize Skyrim, people come back and but the mods are good. And no, the game is trash. If the only merit to the game is the fact that the community made it playable, the game wasn't good. That's my opinion, damn it. Bethesda has this history at this point of just making shit games, but then releasing a lot of modding tools and then relying on their community to basically write their game for them and do their development for them and then make money off of their community. And the community doesn't get, people have Patreons, I guess. Like the modders have Patreons that you can donate to, but for the most part, the modders don't get paid, and the developers basically just having their fan base write their games for them. It's frustrating. I'm also getting tired of goddamn alphas, like alpha releases and beta releases of games, especially now that like bigger game studios are doing it. What game was it recently that came out in alpha? Oh man, I can't remember.
Minecraft came out as an alpha.
That's not like a AAA studio though. There's like a big game that came out in an alpha release, and you could buy it in an alpha format, and I can't remember what it was, and it was recent. See, Minecraft I'm okay with having an alpha because that was an entirely indie developed game. It was developed by just a guy. So it makes sense that he put out an alpha for his game because he wanted people to like experience it and give him feedback and stuff. But for a AAA studio that are like, they're supposed to deliver finished products, it's wild that they're just selling an alpha of their game. And that's basically what Cyberpunk did too. I mean, that wasn't a finished game, and they sold it anyway.
Yeah.
And finished it. They finished the game after they released it.
We'll release it when it's ready.
Honestly,
that was a lie.
There are indie games that had better and more stable alphas than Cyberpunk did. It was crazy. I'm getting tired of the games industry in general.
Have you played Splitgate yet?
No.
Have you heard of the game? Recently the beta was released. It's an arena FPS that's basically a combination between Halo and Portal.
Oh, that sounds dope.
Yeah, it is. We should play it right after this.
We should. That actually sounds really cool.
The queue times to get into the servers is currently like less than 5 minutes, or 2 minutes recently for me. And it only takes like less than a minute to get into a match. And it actually does feel like Halo.
Did you ever play Tribes with me?
I have not.
Tribes was a fun game. That one let you slide or ski.
Oh yeah.
You ski. Yeah.
I've been wanting to ask you what that game was. I just like wanted to ask, like, what's that game where you just like ski around while? Like,
I just wish it wasn't pay
guns.
to win. That was my only problem with it. Is that you got to spend real money to unlock the weapons and stuff. But yeah, that game was fun. Very technical.
Yeah.
I like very technical games.
Sounds like something I would have to use a mouse and keyboard for.
Oh, for sure. Like it's too fast.
Yeah.
The game is way too fast to use a controller for it.
Like almost any movement shooter, it's mouse and keyboard. But something for like Halo or Splitgate, I can get away with using a controller.
I've been having a lot of fun on the Attack on Titan game still. The tribute game that I found from like back in high school. That one's so fun.
And people are still playing it.
I am. There are servers that run too. Normally they have only 1 or 2 players on them, but that game is so addicting because it's so fun and very technical and hard to like get the higher scores when you're killing a Titan. It's so fucking satisfying, especially when you start getting better and you can get like really fast and just like whip around the Titan and kill him. Goddamn. Yeah. Indie games are I don't know. I'm just getting pretty fed up with AAA.
Greater trend within gaming seems to be to get stuff you got to pay with real money if you want the latest gun or whatever. Yeah, you got to pay like $5 or whatever.
Even if you buy the $60 game too, that's what's really frustrating. It used to be games were split between you either pay for the $60 game or it's a pay to win game. Now it's you pay for the $60 game and then it's still a pay to win game.
Yeah, you just keep paying.
It's like, what?
Yeah. Whether it's used to be DLCs, like downloadable content stuff. Now they've transitioned to their business model is just buy a bunch of like
loot crates and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, it's getting over the top. And like the Call of Duty games are releasing, like the base game is $60, but then, and Battlefield did this too, where to actually get the multiplayer maps that people play on, So in order to actually play the game, you need to spend an extra like 40 or sometimes even $60 to buy all the DLC to actually be able to play the game with people. So then it's a $120 game by the end of the day. Like if you buy the ultimate season pass edition or whatever, or gold edition, to get all the DLC and future-proof your game as well. Because you can normally buy just like the immediate DLC that it comes out with. It drops with DLC. And then like the next year they'll release more DLC and then you can buy it then. And then it ends up being like, if you buy all the DLC individually, it ends up being like $180 game or something. It's like, what?
I've been willing to buy the, Final Fantasy VII Remake. Now they released it. They released a remake last year, but this year they have the Final Fantasy Remake Remaster on the PS5. But
oh my god.
Yeah. But in the remaster, it actually, less load times, 60 frames per second, as opposed to like 30 or 20 on the PS4. But in the newer version, they have a new DLC, which adds like 10 hours. And I wanted to play the DLC, but it was not available on PS4, so I had to get it on PS5. But it doesn't come with the remaster. I have to pay an extra $20. And to get the remaster of the remake, it's $70, and to get the DLC, it's an extra $20. So I would be spending like $90 to $100. Just kidding. Just so I can get all that shit.
Oh man, indie games. That's it. I'm done. I'm over AAA. They've lost me. I refuse. Indie games are the way to go.
Exactly. And plus, seriously, $20 for a 10-hour DLC? Like, come on.
Yeah, it's not even, yeah.
I mean, when Witcher did that, they added 40 hours.
Yeah.
With the Blood and Wine. $20 for Blood and Wine adds 40 hours of gameplay.
Yeah, that seems pretty, like, decent.
More than generous.
I kind of think about movies when I'm looking at video games. Where I'm like, a 2-hour movie, if you go to the theater for just yourself, is like $7, I think, or $7 to $9, depending on what time you go. So that's how I judge it. I'm like, I should at least get 2 hours of fun per every $9 that I spend on a video game, and that's pretty steep. But
I try to do 1 hour of fun.
For one, at least.
$1. $1, 1 hour. That's why I spent 60 hours on Cyberpunk. So I have to get my money's worth.
It's fair. Wait, were you having fun though?
Sometimes.
It's
like it's not a horrible game.
I want to buy Doom. Doom actually looks pretty fun, and I've only heard good things about
2016 or Eternal?
Doom, either one, but probably Eternal since that's the newer one.
Yeah, they're both really good in their own way.
Maybe I could get both of them.
Because Doom 2016 is like a boomer shooter, while the newer one is more of a modern movement shooter.
What's a boomer shooter?
Boomer shooter, it's like there's not really a sprint. You don't aim down sights. You
like
don't really
a shooter
hide.
For boomers?
Yeah, you don't really hide behind cover. It's just a lot of running and gunning.
Gotcha.
A boomer shooter to me, I know there's probably a lot of definitions, but I define it as just any shooter that plays like the old Doom games.
Gotcha. I don't mind that either, so I could probably get both of them and have plenty of fun. But
you can play Doom 2016 with the controller, but Eternal keyboard, mouse and keyboard.
I would do mouse and keyboard anyway. I don't really use the controller much at this point. I use it for like arcade-like games, but that's about it. I don't use it for shooters. I'm so bad with controllers at this point with shooters. I can't aim for crap. What do you want, Doug? Why are you looking at me? I think we're at about time. I can't really read the clock from here, but I think we're over an hour. So I think we can call it here for today. But I had fun. Hope everybody enjoyed listening and whatnot. And I'll talk to you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
But